the difference between critical theory and the Socratic method. It's a very noticeable shift on college campuses and what they're teaching.
Yes.
A lot of them don't teach Socratic method anymore. A lot of them teach critical theory, and everything that you hate about the modern social justice left stems from this. Now, for those of you who don't know, if you weren't taught in college, the Socratic method, I believe, is probably one of the most effective methods to get to ultimate truth that we have available. And the beauty in it is that it's so simple a child can do it. As a matter of fact, it's very, we'll talk about it, it's very similar to a child simply asking, why?
Yeah.
When you have that kid who won't stop asking, and then you well, hold on a second, why do I do this? So Socratic method is very effective. Now, it's very different from something that's called critical theory, which is taught more and more in colleges, and the Socratic method is taught less and less. It was developed, first off, in the Frankfurt School to really kind of justify Marxist ideas in the wake of Marxism. I know a lot of people say, oh, Frankfurt School doesn't exist. It's like a shadow organization. No, it does. So let's just move on with that. Let's stop. You can hold your comments. Critical theory seeks to move beyond observation of subjects or participation in an attempt to reveal constraints, thereby motivating informants to engage in conscious political action. The critical theorist is seen as a liberator, seeking to make social actors aware of oppressive structures, the first step on the road to social change. So, are you noticing anything yet? The Socratic method doesn't have the word critical in its title, but it actually requires critical thinking. Critical theory requires the opposite. It requires confirmation bias. And this is kind of where we, again, benign sounding names, pro-choice. No, you're not really pro-choice. That's not what's occurring there. Critical theory is actually not really about critical thinking at all. The Socratic method requires critical thinking. So it is basically, to define it as simply as possible, it is asking questions that elicit generative answers. In other words, asking questions that require someone to substantiate their opinion, to validate their position as opposed to speculation. And that can be simplified, boiled down to, why? Well, how? Right? It can literally boil down to something being that simple for someone's entire argument to unravel. And here's why. Socrates, by the way, can you think of anyone more liberal than Socrates? This was an open-minded thinker by any measure that we would have available to us. Socrates did not believe that the most effective way to change someone's mind was through lecturing or through sermonizing. He believed the most effective way to change someone's mind was to ask these questions to get to the root cause. The Socratic method is entirely based on truth, on getting to the truth. Now, in order to attain that, it requires there to be no initial judgment. It's a judgment-free zone because you're asking questions. The Socratic method can only work if you actually are right. If you're having an argument and you're rolling the dice in the Socratic method, you're believing that that line of questioning is going to lead the opposing point of view to your opinion. So to use the Socratic method, which is something that, if you look at any really noted conservative economist or great sort of Republican right-wing libertarian thinker of the last 50, they always talk about the Socratic method. It requires that you believe you are correct, and it requires that you don't make a prejudicial judgment on the outset because that would alter the course to truth. Critical theory, however, from the leftists, the open-minded leftists, and they are doing this in order to open your mind in college in order to be more tolerant, requires that you start the line of questioning, the line of the beginning of the investigation with a pre-made judgment in order for you to circle back to draw to that conclusion. And it's an irony that I am amazed nobody out there not nobody, but very few people openly talk about. Again, the left could not, if you need more approval, talk about Dave Rubin. Critical theory is case in point. The left could not be more closed-minded. They are the most judgmental and ill-informed pricks I can think of. I'm very straightforward that I have a bias. People are like, oh, this is not an unbiased show. It's an entertainment program. However, the Socratic method, it doesn't eliminate bias. If you read it, it doesn't eliminate, humans are inherent requirement for some kind of a worldview. You can call it being an ideologue, but everyone has an ism through which they view the world. I've talked about that. Now, that ism can just be feelings, like critical theory, or that ism can be a set of principles which, for better or worse, can help you, guide you generally in the right direction. But the Socratic method does not eliminate your own inherent bias. What it does allow you to do is look at it from an outsider perspective, sort of like an out-of-body experience, to see if that bias does it hold water. That's what the Socratic method allows you to do. And you'll find out really quickly because, again, it only works if you're right. If you start going down that line of questioning, it's kind of like a lawyer. Never ask a question you don't know the answer to.
Yeah.
The Socratic method is not in your best interest if A, you're wrong, or B, your position is based on unsubstantiated feelings. That's why professors want to get rid of it.